Welcome to Bears in Exile. Today is May 27th. This will be our market overview for the weekend. We'll be looking at the Dow, the SPX, the VIX, TNA, UUP, FXE, GLD, and SLV. And we had a pretty good day in the market today. It was, decent considering the Memorial Day weekend. And to all of our viewers, I want to wish everyone a safe and enjoyable Memorial Day. And to my fellow vets, I want to extend to you a very warm and affectionate salutations to all of you that are active and abroad, as well as those that have separated, and of course those that have sacrificed themselves in the line of duty. And can't say enough for how much you guys do, and I do understand what it's like because I've been there. Now, going back to our market overview, we have the Dow. It is not an inverse hammer. The tail is not long enough. Short-term moving averages are starting to point up, and all the secondaries are essentially positive, either pointing up or looking like they're about to point up. So a lot of people are assuming that we're going to come up and work some magic. We are not at the top of the channel yet, and have a little ways to go. We did have this uptick. Uptick does give us a target. The target was almost met today. It is just a hair away. It is like 12,493. So I mean, just a sneeze away from being met. And overall, this chart does look very bullish. I mean, the only thing is if it runs out of gas when it hits that upper channel like it has in the past, it gets going, boom, and runs out of gas, gets going, boom, runs out of gas. And the part of this that doesn't feel right, if that's right, and the secondaries are not the same here as they were in these other spots, but the momentum is very different. This time you hit the bottom bar, the channel line I should say, and you have big bodies in 3 days all the way to the top. And the next time it hits the bottom and it bounces off of it, and pretty good sized bars, big bar, medium bar, 2 days to get to the top. And now on this next attempt, you're not even coming from the bottom channel line, and you've got these little wimpy looking bodies. So that just tells me that momentum is not what it was. So that's my only real problem with that. And the SPX, we did hit the top channel line. Now this was very interesting because you had the line coming from the reverse head and shoulders, and it intersected perfectly with the top channel line today. I mean, that's what a coincidence that is. Anyway, a convergence of resistance levels like that makes it very tough. Of course, it touched it and just fell away. As time goes on, those lines separate. So if you want to retest it again later, you're moving through them piecemeal instead of combined. So I mean, it has that going for it as time goes on. The short-term moving averages are turning up, just like the Dow. All the secondaries are either turning up or already up. So this does look very bullish when taken in that light. So we need more data. Need a couple more bars. And and the sneaky thing that they could do is have it gap above this resistance, which is entirely possible. And if they do that, then they don't have a problem. and it will shoot off like a rocket because everyone will see that. So, also something to consider. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we have the VIX, and the VIX is a hammer. Now, everything else, doesn't look that great. We have a partial, we have a crossover right here of the short-term moving averages. They are moving down, and the secondaries are very mixed. MACD starting to point down, has a crossover. RSI pointing up. Stochastic getting pretty low. So, if this hammer were to work out and it was a reversal signal and it came up a little bit, then we would see the SPX and the Dow retreat from the upper channel line. So entirely possible, and so we just have to take into account all the signals that we have. TNA actually jumped right out of the upper channel, didn't even bother fighting it, gapped right through it, and we have this ugly little spinning top thing, and I hate those. But we do have some crossover on the short-term moving averages, and everything else is either pointing up or going to point up soon. Well, it would appear that way. So normally you do have to do a back test, and if this were to back test, that would also, go along with the VIX, if that hammer on the VIX is to be believed. So we do have a mixed bag, and the currencies are going to drive it. Here's UUP. This is not a hammer, and I wouldn't really classify it as a spinning top either because the upper wick is not long enough. So we do have some crossover on the short-term moving averages on UUP, and all the secondaries are pointing down, so that would suggest that the dollar is going to drop some more and drive equities up. And for confirmation, the FXE, the euro, has been just on a tear and swinging all over the place in aftermarket. We do have an uptick here. The target was met. All of this is fixed. It can do essentially whatever it wants from this point. All the secondaries are pointing up. So, at taking at face value, this does suggest that the euro is going to go up. SLV had a repeat of yesterday, although it was higher. It is getting through the flat line of the long-term moving averages, which were bullish, so it should have no problems getting through there. The upper Bollinger Band line is here. That might be why it's moving so slowly. It doesn't have much of a range, so a big move could happen very soon. Secondaries are mixed, up, up, down, down. So not too much to say from that. It was looking more bullish 2 nights ago when the angle of the crossover was much greater. So it's kind of a bummer to see it do this, but it's not bad. GLD looks fantastic. I mean, the MACD is just barely getting underway, although the other ones are pretty high. But we do have further separation of the short-term moving averages. It is pushing the upper Bollinger Band line up, which we had talked about a couple nights ago when it was ramming right into it. So it is deciding that it wants to do that, and it does look very nice, except that it could be a slow trek upward as it is continuing to have to push that Bollinger Band back. But that's it. It is a mixed bag, and it certainly does tilt bullish based on what the charts look like. I don't trust anything. A 3-day weekend with all kinds of possible news-driven events, especially with all the turmoil in Europe that we've had this last week, 2 weeks. So, in any case, we know what levels to look for, and we know that it's either going to stop immediately and hang out in reverse, or it's going to either fight its way through to the upside or gap. And so it's not even really at the build-up. We're at the end of this chapter, really. Not much else that it can do, because it goes to the side, it's going to run into the upper channel. So really, in short order, we either have to go up or we have to go down. And that's the bottom line and what it is. As always, all investing decisions are your own. This chart and video are for entertainment, educational, and consumption of time purposes only. Thanks.